welcome to another lesson in the Paint with Heart Studios here in New Hampshire. I'm Cindy Harrison, your host, and we have another lovely project for you today. And being that we're going to be celebrating Valentine's Day, even if you're on the replay, Valentine's Day eventually will come around again for you. We're going to be doing this project called Send Her My Love. But before I go on to that, let me introduce to you my bestie from the satellite office in LA, Melissa Reyes.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am Melissa Reyes, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Cindy. Today is the day of yes. Our word for the week is yes, and that is from my affirmation card deck. And this little card says, when it feels good in your heart, it is right for you. So I'm really excited that we're talking about yes as a concept for this week. And it's a great way for Valentine's because, you know, you're listening to our heart again. And what better way than to tell people that we love how we feel about them and being positive and listening to our heart and sharing that part of ourselves with them. So Cindy has a great project that we're going to do that has a little birdie who is delivering that message. So I'm really excited about doing that today. Let's see how it's going to be, how it's going to look, Cindy.
This is a 7x7 piece of wood that has a raised frame around it. This particular piece is actually double-sided, so I'm painting it on both sides. And you can get that in the paint box of the month that I have on my website, cindyharrisonart.com. So all it has to be to prepare for this is you should, again, because it's wood, seal it with a multi-purpose sealer, sand down the wood grain so that it's nice and smooth, and then we base coated with a mixture of poodle skirt pink plus Snow White 2-to-1. Make sure it's a medium light value. Dark enough so that white itself will show up really nicely on it. I traced on my design, which is included in the written instructions that are available on the website. And I placed, when I did the design line drawing, you'll have an extra line drawing with the heart on it. But how I came about that was I put the heart over my design and I lined up the branch. So if your branch is in a different location than mine, make sure you center your heart down there and see where your branch is to make sure that it matches all the way up one way or the other. Okay. So now I'm going to take that aside. And I want to start on the background first. And that is done with frosted plum. I wanted, and it looks very pink here, I wanted a purplish pink that matches my pink. And again, it's a muted shade because it's being set in the background. I don't want anything bright popping. I want it very dull and muted so that it sets in the background. And that's why I chose this color. And that's why also too, you don't want the pink background to be dark as this color or too light either, because again, they'll pop up too much. I'm gonna take out 3 brushes. And throughout this process, I'll be using these 3 brushes. It's a 10-aught liner. It's a number 3 round. And it's a number 4 filbert. We're just gonna work on the background ones. You can add more, you can add less, whatever you want to put here. That's what these are. And if I can see where I forgot to put some, but that's okay. We're gonna freehand it because I think that's what you can do with this. So I took my number 3 and I put, I wet it in water. You don't want a lot, but you do want a fair amount. I'm going to pick up some of the frosted plum, and I'm going to start at the margin with a lot of pressure, make it a little thick, and as you come away from it, you start to get thinner as you go to the edge. So you can start thick and but get thinner, and I'm almost up on my tip. So this is done with frosted plum. Start thick. Now having a little moisture in your brush will help. Start thick, come away, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's not a straight line. If you want to go through that branch, go right ahead, because we're going to paint over it. And again, you can decide how many of these live in your world. If you don't want a lot, don't put a lot. I wouldn't end short of a branch. I go through it, make sure. And they kind of go everywhere. I'm going to turn it around now and do the other side. And thank you all again for coming. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Please like the YouTube channel and also click on the little bell for reminding you notifications every time I post a new video, and share with your friends. When you paint these projects, share with your friends that you painted these projects on Paint with Heart. Maybe they'll want to come and join you, because we welcome all your friends, male, female, young and old. We have this beautiful little painter with us today, Maddie, who's 7 or 9. Maddie, how old are you?
7.
7 years old. And you should go to Paint with Heart Facebook page and you'll see, or if you watch last week's program, Spill the Wine, I posted her painting at the end of the video. And oh my goodness, you'd never know. She's a beautiful painter. So you don't have to follow my directions, my line drawing. You can go ahead and you can make your own trees, branches, whatever it is that you, yeah, if you need to make some longer, make some, just get those in there. Now, if your round brush doesn't make the lines as fine as you would like them to be, don't hesitate to pick up your 10-aught brush, and then you can go in and fill those very thin lines, make those thinner as you go away. Now, I didn't put any on my heart, but I can see where, if I wanted to, there's this one that comes up here. That one could go and come from behind the bird. So you could put one there and it looks natural. And this one could come over here. See, I'm just following the design on the outline and bringing it in. And this one here goes up here. And that's all I'm doing. Just follow the natural flow of your design. So with this, I'm going to start putting in some of those background flowers. This is a filbert brush, which means it's rounded. It's not flat, squared off, 90-degree angle brush hairs. It's a rounded brush. And I'm going to pick up some of that color, and I'm going to start placing the flowers down. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. You can do it flat on, or you can do it on a side. load it up. And when you come in, you press down at the outside of your branch and then lift. And it leaves like a teardrop look. So you can press another one here. And this is holding the brush on a diagonal. And you just now, when you come over to another section, if you want to put a whole blossom flower, go flat. And I'm going to do 4 of them. So you're going to do north, south, east, west, left, right, you know, top, bottom, whatever, however you need to tell yourself. But that's what they look like flat. And you can do some that just have 2. You can do some that have 3 overlapping them, because they don't need to be all individual blossoms. You can have them overlapping each other. And I'm just going around and just placing those petals in here and there, wherever I feel there would be a blossom. And making sure that I put the buds on the outside. And you're just going to go around and do that over all the area. And it's okay if they overlap the branch and they don't show up, because you can still tell they're there. And basically we're creating clusters of flowers. Now, if you don't have frosted plum, there is a color called plum, and all you need to do is add some white to that and just tone down the color a little bit, make it a little lighter. And I'm just going to keep making my flower blossoms. And the ones behind here, remember, we're going to be covering that up. So really, you don't even need to do all that behind there. Do them where you know you're going to see them. So yeah, decide how many you want. And I'm just going to cover some of these up here. See where my lines go. See if I can line that up. So now I see that I have a branch that came up here of the plum, the frosted plum, and one that went across. So with my round brush or my liner brush, depending on how thin or thick I want that line, I'm going to then add some of that color. I'm not going to go right through the bird though. I'm going to go around him. And there's one over here that came up and is coming out from behind. Well, now that we have those on there, I'm going to put what they call a calyx, that little, the green part that is the pod of the blossom before it opens. And I'm going to put that on some of these buds. So basically that is start about a little bit above. If this is the bud you just made and you cut it in half, say, start a little bit above that and pull the lines down on both sides. So a little bit above, pull down, pull down. You're looking to align end on the branch. You're pulling it down to the branch. I don't know that I would put any buds on the heart part, because we don't want it to take away from the bird. Now what we're going to do is add the actual branch, and it also is added onto your heart. But I'm going to take that away for now, put that aside, and let's go ahead and add the actual branch. And that is going to be done first with espresso, but also put out a puddle of burlap. I'm going to start with my 3 round again. I'm going to pick up the espresso and start to pull, and you don't need to be smooth, and you don't need to worry about the frosted plum. Wiggle it up and have a little moisture in your brush, and as you wiggle out, start lifting up on your brush and going to that chisel edge. Again, this is where if you don't have a great success in that, you'll go back with your liner brush, your 10-aught liner brush, and you'll do it that way. And I'm going right over the frosted plum. We're probably going to end up doing 2 coats if we feel the need, if we're not covering all with one. And I'm wiggling it. It's not a straight line. Have a little moisture in your brush, it'll help move the paint. So before you go and do a second coat, you're going to want to dry this coat. Make sure it's fully dry and then go over it a second time. Before I do this, I want this dry so I can place this down and make sure that I have the same amount of pressure on my brush as I did for that section that's overlapping, that this is overlapping. I don't want to just go on there and have this be thin and that thick. So this needs to be dry first before I can put the heart down. Now you try to line up your branches, center your heart, line up your branches, and you see how thick that is. Then you can go ahead and you can pull, and it might not always line up with your line drawing. And by the way, I didn't paint on the part that was laser cut, I just painted within it. And this particular wood did not need to be sealed. It's pretty smooth. So this one here, this purple one, frosted plum I should say, is coming into this and not going anywhere. So let's bring that somewhere. Let's start it here and we'll bring it. I'm just taking my clean brush and I'm wiping down some of the color and some of the water. So now it looks natural. It doesn't have a dead stop. That's what I'm looking for, that everything is got movement. It continues to move, that it just doesn't have this dead stop. Like this one here I'm seeing is a dead stop right here. So we need to kind of just, even if we just do a slight like that, it looks, it's got that, it keeps going motion. Follow me?
The keeps going motion, is that a technical term?
Yes, I just made it up. I think
Well,
anything works as long as you understand what I'm saying.
I get you. I love it. You know, when you were saying, you know, this one's not going anywhere, let's make it go somewhere, and it just changed the way it looked completely. And I thought, that's the little detail that you think about, you know, you really see something and make it look so realistic, those tiny little details. I love that you do that.
And maybe to someone else, they wouldn't notice that, but to me, I notice it. So you want to keep the movement going. You want to keep your eye going across the painting. That's what makes a good painting, they say.
Yeah. Well, you know, because your brain catches those little inconsistencies, even though you're, you know, may not be thinking it while you're looking at it. It's something you'll catch it and go, like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you look at something and you don't like it for a reason, it could be because of those little inconsistencies.
Yes. Yes, you're right. You may not know it, but your brain knows it. Yep. Okay. Now let's put another layer of espresso over what we did, but this time while it's wet, we're going to put in some of the burlap. So I flatten my brush out, trying to get all that water out. Flatten my brush out, and if I pull some of this color here, and this time we don't have to go all the way through, I pull some of that color down. If you wash your brush out quickly, pick up some of the burlap, flatten that brush out so it's, I don't know if you can see that, it's flat. And then I'm going to start to pull on a diagonal some of this color over the wet branch. And a little bit more of the espresso, less water, more paint. Wash the brush out, pick up some burlap, skip it along the top. I keep doing this because I want to wipe off those wet drops here that's getting me in trouble. When I go to do this, the wet drops, water drops will fall down and they'll make puddles of water on my painting. And I don't want puddles of water. So after I take it out, I wipe off the dots. When I get off to the narrow parts, it's just barely tapping down on the surface because I really can't do full strokes. Once that's dry, you can go back with some straight burlap again and just touch the tops, not bring the color too far down like you did when it was wet. And if you're afraid you lost your espresso, no fear, just take your espresso and go back up into that burlap. So on the little flowers that we did, we used a number 4 filbert. So we're going to do the same on the white flowers. Use a number 4 filbert. But we're not going to do it with white first. We're going to do it with blue mist first. I did say that if your branches don't show up even on the second application of burlap, if you want to add some snow white to the mix, you can do a brush mix, pick up the burlap first and tip it into the white. And then you can go and dash some of that along the top. Keep it to the top. You want to make sure you have some burlap in there because you don't want it to look like snow. This is although it does snow in the spring.
I was just going to say there could be a little frost, but
There could be.
we want warm thoughts going out, right?
Right.
Defrosted, yes.
Defrosted. Which reminds me, so the temperature is rising here in New Hampshire so much that all the snow and ice is melting, and it's making a river in the front of my house in the walkway. So to get to my cars, I either have to have, was it wellies? What are those boots?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they're wellies, the rubber boots that, go up to your knee.
Yeah, rain boots.
Yeah.
That all the way up to your knee, like fisherman's kind of that you walk in.
That goes up to your waist, but yeah, like that to get to my car.
Imagine you stepping in those waist kind of boots.
Yeah, to get to my car, that's what I need.
Oh, funny. Oh my gosh. Well, I bet if it gets really cold and freezes, that could be very dangerous with that water.
That's what's been happening all week and there'll be about 3 inches of water there, and it'll be a sheet of ice when I wake up in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
So we go through the garage. Okay, main branches.
Thaw out when you get here in 2 weeks.
I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Just don't bring that cold with you. I have a weird feeling about this. One time I went to a conference in San Diego where we'll be, and I had been looking forward to, a nice sunny weekend, and it poured rain, torrential rain the entire time.
Wow.
I know. So I just don't want you to get too excited about it. You think about let's not get our hopes up too high so that whatever it is, we'll be happy. But
well, even when it rains, it's still going to be warmer than here.
I know, but it was wet, man. This was we couldn't even go outside. All the outdoor activities that they had planned had to be moved indoors.
I went to Las Vegas.
I wanted my money back.
I went to Las Vegas and it rained every day. And the taxi drivers are like, this is so unusual because it barely ever rains in Las Vegas. And it was raining every day.
Yeah, that's, it does rain here. We do have rainy seasons and stuff. In San Diego, it does rain, but that was
unusual.
Not that time of year kind of thing. I think it was, I don't know, May or June. I guess that is when we get I don't know. You just can't. You expect it to be sunny all the time, so you get bummed when it's not.
Well, I will. I'll expect it sunny. Order it now, so it'll be there when I get there.
I wish you were here today.
So, Ophelia, I did paint right through that, and then I placed this on after. But if you didn't, that's fine too. I just want to make sure that I lined up the branches and made them the same thickness. And then I wanted to make sure that there was no dead end of anything, not the plum, not the espresso, when it comes to the heart. If something came to a dead end, like this had come to a dead end, I had to add it up here. When this comes over, I added that, I added this, so that it keeps flowing. You want it to look natural, even though it's a second piece. You want it to carry on that same movement. Now I'm gonna do the white flowers, but I'm gonna do them first with the blue mist. So basically you're looking for a gray blue that's very muted. And I'm gonna mix a little bit of that with the snow white. These are gonna be behind everything else, kind of like you're underpainting. So again, with my filbert, and there's not as many of these. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of white. Let's see, just a little bit of white. There's not a whole lot of white. Pick up some blue mist. And then I'm going to start to add. So I'm going to add, again, with the flat petals, but we're doing half blossoms. You can do whole blossoms and just put other whole blossoms over top of them. They're going to be on top of each other, so don't worry about it too much. And you can do a bud. Let's see if I can pick a nice area where I could put a bud. Let's put one right here. Remember, that's on the diagonal on your brush. You just kind of set it down. And that can be a bud. That's pretty much what that is. Now I'm going to take white and I'm going to go over these, but I'm not necessarily going to go over them. So if I have a petal, I'm not going to stay on it. I could be on the side of it. I can make a whole new blossom. So if you want to go over your bud, you can stay on it, just tip it. But if you want to just go make new flowers right on top of the ones you made, then you can do that. On the buds, I would go and just tip the smaller ones. Definitely tip those. Don't make new buds. And these are the same strokes that you use to do hydrangeas and geraniums, by the way. So on the smaller single blossoms, go over the blue mist, but don't cover it completely. You can leave some showing in the center to give them a little bit of pop. I'm going to add, and again, if this is cad yellow that I'm using, but if you don't have cad yellow, use your brightest yellow that you have. And I'm going to pick up with my round brush, and wherever I have 4 petals that come together to form a full blossom, I'm going to put yellow dot. And it might not be always, it could be 3 petals come together, but if you're seeing it straight on in your mind's eye, then go ahead and put that dot. If you've lost some of the blue mist on your white petals, I'm going to pick up my 10-aught liner with some water into my blue mist, making it inky. And I'm going to just do some little lines or dots out of on the white around the outside of the yellow. And obviously it's got to be on the white, otherwise it won't show up. Blue mist on blue mist doesn't show. So they're lines and they're dots. It's not an outline though. Make sure you're just doing lines, dots, and dashes. The next color you're going to use is going to be frosted plum, and we're doing the same thing. Dots and dashes. Just don't cover up all of your blue mist. If you've lost some of your flowers and you want to punch them up, you can pick up some more white and just, tap over them and make them whiter. Let's go on to the bird and his little note. We're going to underpaint those with the Snow White. And at this point, you can actually take him off of here. He doesn't need to be on that. You can put that aside. And I'm going to just underpaint him. And this way here, when we put blue on him, he won't turn purple. And then when we put yellow on top of the pink, it would turn orange. All of these things we have to take into consideration. But if we make it white, we have a better chance. His beak doesn't have to be, but the rest of him does. So I'm going to put a second coat of white because I don't want a lot of pink showing through. And if you ladies weren't online when we did create this, I showed you how to make greeting cards, Valentine's Day cards. But if you just wanted to send somebody an I love you card, that would be fine too. Or thank you from the bottom of my heart card. Right, Melissa? They could go either way.
There's always someone that you can thank and say, I love you to, even if it's just the mailman or postal carrier. Put a little note in there for that person, say thank you. I like to do that now and then.
So the two that I made this morning that you can watch on my YouTube channel, I made this one, which is really neat because it folds out. And so you can see, I love you. And this is the other one that has 3 layers of heart. So it's a blank note card. So it can just say thank you from the bottom of my heart or something,
Pretty.
That's what these are. So anybody can do that.
And I was saying, or wanted to say, I guess that one I wasn't talking, I was just thinking to myself. But I wanted to say that those cards look like they're so popular to buy cards that look handmade. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so it's at 1:30 Eastern Time, 10:30 Pacific on Bubbler Media. It's a 30-minute live show. There's a Create This page, and it's called CRE, the number 8, the THIS, Create This. And just Cindy goes on live, she does the project, and that's it. It's really quick. And there's no supply list or anything. Almost always things that you could do from just what you have around you, glue, tape, paper, scissors. She makes amazing things, and it's really fun to watch. And we would love it if you came on to watch and just, made some comments or, followed along. And then you might want to make that project later on your own. It's really a lot of fun. It's every Sunday.
We need to go back, and the buds that are our blue mist white buds, we need to go back with our liner brush and some of that espresso. And remember for those of us who were here from the beginning, the little lines that we made on either side of our frosted plum buds, we have to do that for these buds. So we're making that letter V starting a little bit above center of our bud and bringing those in. Now that can go aside and dry. Let's go back to this little dude. I'm going to, on his belly, if you can still see the line work, his belly is going to be cad yellow. You can use your 3 round, pick up some cad yellow. The rest of him, except for his throat area, stays white, but the rest of him is the blue mist. And I'm doing it kind of just dabbing it along. It's going to be sometimes very thin, sometimes very thick. Stay away from the throat. If you want to go around the eye, you can if you're afraid you're going to lose it. If you do short strokes, then and you leave markings, it'll look like feathers. See how I left markings so it kind of looks feathery? Because I wasn't doing it solid. I did the head a little bit more solid than it needed to be, but the wings are kind of, the eye and the beak and the writing on the letter are done with graphite, and you only need a very small amount, and I'm going to go with my 10-aught liner. So if you do a little scribble up where you put your return address, and then you go ahead and you put your who it's to, and if you want to use a micron pen or something like that, you can do that too. If you want to actually put someone's name on there, have fun. It's very small. Make sure that the beak goes into the letter envelope here, so it's not just touching it, but it's actually got the letter in its beak. See how that's done? Make sure that yellow part is dry, because then we're going to take our number 3 round, and I'm going to pick up some of the blue mist, and I'm just going to kind of tap some in on his belly, on the bottom of his belly with a flat part of my brush, wipe most of it off, and tap some in as a shade. And then we're going to put a little bit under his wing. So I put a little bit under here too. And then there's a little line, look at my 10-aught liner, little line of this mist separating the white from the yellow. If you want to pre-wet your letter, providing your graphite's dry, pre-wet your letter, and I'm going to just do this on the corner of my 4 filbert. I know there's not a corner because it's rounded, but on one side of my filbert, I'm going to load this little side load, and I'm going to come down the bottom of my letter over the pre-wet area and across this edge. And if you want to use your finger or use a mop brush, whatever you need to do, soften that out. And then I'm going to put a little bit under the beak. And I'm not looking for the perfect side load here. It's just an illusion that there's a shadow on this letter. Get that in there. It gives that edge to that letter better. The letter is done, and all we have to do is the outside of his blue area, and we'll be done. Take out some sapphire, and you need such a small amount of these colors. It's amazing. And I'm going to first use my, again, if you want, pre-wet the area. I'm looking at the area at the back of his head and top of the back wing. The corner of your brush in that sapphire, tap some of that down on the back of his wing. Now remember, his back is here too, in the back of his head. And then I'm going to add some of that to actual his back, but start about where the bottom of the wing, ends. So right here, tap that in, and I'm gonna go up that side of the tail. And then I'm gonna come over here and add some to this side of the tail. And then on this wing here, I'm going to add it right from the bottom, the back end of his belly, paint down, water up. Out to the tip. And then with my liner brush, I'm going to go in and add some dashes where the feathers might be. You can bring some over here. I want to add a couple for his back. Next, I'm going to take some of that white with my liner brush, and I'm going to start to highlight the top of his head, the front top, with strokes. Add a dot in his eye, and then put some on the top of the back wing. Hard to see, but it is there. Some across his back. And then down in the center of this wing here. Let's pull some on the tip of his tail here into the blue. If you wanted to add a little highlight on his beak, just a little dash on the top. So if the white overtook, always go back, start with your base, and work into the sapphire, but don't start with the sapphire first. It doesn't look like much up close, but when I come away from it, it starts to look much better. Easy peasy. I say that, I know. Once that's done, you would then varnish your piece. I used where is it? My Duraclear Soft Touch Varnish. And then I used the Aleene's Tacky Glue and glued that onto my center. And that's how I got that.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Let's see how everyone else is doing.
Sure.
Oh,
Look at him, so pretty. Okay, Ophelia. Oh, yes.
Very nice.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay, let's see where we're at. Let's go over to
What about Maddie? Do you want to see how Maddie's doing?
Maddie.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Drying, if you could show us. Let's see. Oh, yes. Look at her birdie.
Oh,
Adorable.
Isn't it adorable?
Yes, she did a
she's
great
doing
job.
so good.
Sweet.
And her little, oh, I love it, little
And
bird.
I like her little dot flowers. Everything's gorgeous. Well, how about your grandma?
Grandma's a little bit behind her here. So are Granny.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty.
Oh, yeah.
That's sweet. So one more thing I just want to add before. So yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I added a little heart to the stamp area of the
Oh, yeah. Needs a stamp.
yeah, it's a heart stamp.
Yeah.
So when you're done, like I said, varnish this, but then I went back and did frosted plum on the inside of the frame. If you varnish this first, then if you get any frosted plum on it, you can take it off with a damp brush easier and faster without it, causing you issues. So that's why I varnish this first when I'm doing another area of a different color and they're adjacent.
So Cindy, when you glued the heart on, did you glue on top of the varnish?
Yes.
Okay, and it stayed okay.
Well, so far so good.
Okay.
I use the Aleene's Quick Dry Techie Glue.
Oh, okay.
So far so good. But if you're afraid that it won't, you can always scuff it up with a sandpaper right under here. Scuff it up with sandpaper after you varnish it.
Okay.
I'd rather you do it that way than to try and varnish around it and miss some areas. Or glue it on first, and then sometimes when you're brushing on the varnish, you make
Drips and.
well, yeah, it's like build up, and then you get these build up wads of varnish.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just did it that way. And the frame is washed with espresso because I left it that way because the edging of this being laser cut has that burnt edges. And if I could do this and have it be white, like white lace, I would do this white. But all those holes, oh, forget about it. I'm not doing that. So I thought if I leave this espresso, it matches this, and then it all looks natural together. And it kind of picks up the branches too. So it all harmonizes.
Oh, is it time to say goodbye?
Time to say goodbye, yes.
Say goodbye. Well, I just want to thank you for having me here with you on Paint with Heart. And I hope you have a wonderful week and make it a week of yes. And when it feels good in your heart, it's right for you. So say yes to love. And I just wanted to show you that I've got my little message to my BBFFE, my best friend forever, Cindy Harrison. I love you so much. Thank you for being my best friend. And thank you for painting and showing me how to be the expressive, creative person that I can be. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so sweet. And you are a very creative person in your own right with so many things that you do. And it's not just with a paintbrush.
I have fun getting dirty with paint.
Yes, there's that.
But not today.
So thanks. Thank you to everyone who's here, and thank you to everyone who joins us on the replay. And please, yes, if you are watching on YouTube and you found me, please subscribe, ring the little bell so you'll have notifications every time I post a new video, and comment below. Have any questions, ask. And all the instructions eventually are in written format. You can buy them digitally or hard copy on cindyharrisonart.com under Paint with Heart.
Share your finished projects. We'd love to see those pictures.
Yes, please do join our Facebook group, Paint with Heart, and share your finished projects. And if you get them to me before Wednesday, the following Wednesday after class, I will post them in the video replay.
Sounds great.
So everyone, have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you. Until next week, everyone, remember to always paint with heart.